welcome back to Gardening with Creations by DX & Co. Today we're actually going to build a raised or an elevated raised garden bed, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm using and why, and show you how I do it, and maybe you can put one together for yourself. Three extra 2x6 boards along with all my broken down pallet boards over here. They measure about 71 inches in length, so just shy of 6 feet. So I'm going to do two sides at about 71, and then or the two sides, and then the two end pieces at about 35.5. But it'll be about almost 6 feet by 3 feet wide. So it'll be a decent size elevated bed. And then along with that, I had the 2x4s there supporting these posts and holding them up. So I have some of those that we'll be utilizing for the legs. Now I know this is not treated wood, this isn't going to last forever, but you could do the same thing with some pressure treated wood, or stain it with some oils that are safe, food safe, so you could actually preserve it a lot longer. If you're okay with replacing it every couple of years, then there's nothing wrong with using untreated lumber. And this has been about a year weathered, and you can see it's still holding up. It's sat through the elements. Actually, I want to say it's 2 years weathered now, and still doing just fine. So you can see it holds up. Now with soil against it, that's going to be a little bit different. And typically speaking, you would use weed barrier or some sort of fabric in there. Show you where you would add that in which step. That would be the beagle. He's found the mole, I think. So, all right, guys, let me get started. Okay, so I started by ripping the first board in half. I'm using just my chop saw and 35.5. Yes, there's some screws in there I've got to get out. Now I'm gonna, even though I measured this one at 71, I'm still going to measure this particular piece here, my drop piece, to make sure that I'm still on my mark, and I am at 35.5. So these are going to be my sides of my raised bed. So I'm going to go ahead and get these four corners pieced together. I'm just going to drill some screws in, so butt it up here, screw some screws in, and I'll show you what that looks like. So let me take you what we have so far. So I did the two sides on the outside. Doesn't matter which way you do this, if you want to put them on the inside and screw it together or on the outside and screw it together, as long as they're the same on both sides. So all we did here is made sure our two long pieces are the same, our two short pieces are the same, and made sure they're screwed in on the outside or the inside, whichever you're going to do, because otherwise you're going to have a very racked board. Now, if I was just doing a shallow ground raised bed, I'd be done. But that's not what we're doing. So, and notice this is pretty shallow. It's only, like I said, it's a 2x6, so it's only 6 inches. It's plenty deep enough for certain plants, lettuces, things like that. We're going to go ahead and get this elevated by using some 2x4s. Now with this, you can actually go on the inside with your legs or the outside with your legs. I'm going to go on the outside. I want my overall finished height to be 36 inches. So I'm going to get a 36-inch leg going, and I'll show you what that looks like, guys. Okay? Make a point though, before I start anything else, I want to check for square, and how you do that is you take a tape measure from this corner and you measure to this corner, and then you measure from that corner to the opposite corner. So on a diagonal you're measuring to make sure you get the exact same measurement. If you don't, you need to kind of kick one side or the other over, just kind of get my four legs cut. They're 36-inch 2x4s, so 3 foot exactly, so that I can have an overall finished height. Now I'm going to be attaching these just like this, but I'm going to give you guys a tip. This isn't all the support that I'm going to provide this, because what that would do, if I screw this in just like this, just like now, it is actually going to put a lot of weight just on the screws. So what I will be doing is putting another board behind that, and I'll show you when we get to that step. I've got all four legs on. Obviously at this point, I'm not ready to put dirt in it, right? But I wanted to show you guys kind of what that finished look could look like, the finished height. So for me, let me flip the camera. 6 foot tall, finished height right at my waist. It's absolutely perfect for myself or my wife without having to bend over. We can get in here and do things, but I don't think 6 inches is deep enough for the type of gardening I want to do. Like I said, it'd be perfect for some lettuces, things like that. And I think for me, the next step's actually going to be to add another one of these 4 walls underneath it. Now I don't have any more 2x6s, but I could continue down with 2x4s, which I do have. We can continue down a little bit with those before we put our bottom in. So what I want to do either way is flip this back over and continue to work on that. But I wanted to show you guys just how it was starting to take shape first. You see how we have 2 screws in here? That's taking the entire weight of this right now. Now it has no soil, no sun. So that's not actually good for the structure. Even if those legs were on the inside and you mounted them from this side and from this side, and you did screws that way, you'd be putting tension on just the screws. Now these are some good deck screws that I believe can handle about 50 pounds of tension per screw, which is really good. But we're actually going to put a 2x4 behind this 2x4 and up underneath this board right here. That'll put all the tension of this on all 4 sides. That'll put all the tension of this actually on this 2x4. And we're going to flip this back over and build a couple layers deeper, and then we'll go point out when picking your lumber that there's 2 things that you're looking for. What they call the crown in the wood, so how the wood curves this way. You always want to make sure that if you do get a piece that has a crown, you're looking down and you can see it kind of hump up. Put that up towards the top, because over time gravity will push it back down for you. And if you've got a bow in the wood where it curves out, put that towards the inside, because the soil will help push that out for you. So just a couple of tips when you're building your raised bed. Make sure that you're paying attention to which way your wood's laying. You can see there's some fresh pieces of 2x4 here, so not completely out of scrap. I didn't run out to the store and buy these. I did have them in the garage. Since I decided to go with this extra layer, I didn't have any 2x4s in my scraps long enough to do the sides, so I ended up grabbing those ones, clean 2x4s I had inside. So that's why those ones look new, but I still use the scrap on the end pieces. This is actually pallet wood 2x4s. So let me flip this over, get this mounted underneath, and I'll show you a shot of what that. So we are back the next day. We ran out of daylight last night, and so we've got the other rectangle that we made that I showed you guys on top there now inserted in. We've got it screwed into the base there, so as you can see now our soil depth once this is flipped over is going to be excellent. I mean, this is a 2x6 and a 2x4, so you would think that means 10 inches, but unfortunately that's not how it works with boards. They're always short about ½ inch or so. So we'll measure the overall depth, but we're probably somewhere around 9 inches of soil depth there with a 1-inch lip that I like to leave. So we're probably about 8 inches of soil depth, which is going to be just perfect for this bed. Now you could put some bracing in these corners here, but since I have the outside bracing, it's acting the exact same way. Again, I'm going to be putting the weight on the right there, and I'll show you when we get to that step. But the next step that we're going to do is actually put a board over here that overhangs, so that when we drop in our bottom boards, it has something to rest on. So I'm going to get those pieces going. Yes, Batman the Beagle. And then we will show you what that looks like. So what we're going to be doing here is putting these boards on so that they create a lip underneath, because when we flip this back over, we're going to be dropping some boards in across here that will support the weight of our soil. So a lot of the weight's going to be coming from these boards. Notice I haven't put that extra brace in yet because I want to get these pieces in first. Alright, so that what we're going to be doing is putting these pieces in, and then we'll put in our brace like this. Now, it's ideal if you have one long piece here and then a long piece here to do this with. It doesn't have to be 2x4s. It's anything just to kind of support these 2x4s of what I have on hand. So that's what we're going to be utilizing. So, but I don't have the long enough pieces, so I'm going to be piecemealing this together. That's not ideal, but it's still going to be able to hold the weight because there'll be enough screws in each of those. So just wanted to show you what step we're at. As you can see, we got all of those lip pieces in just a little bit of an overhang, and it'll look a lot better once I flip it over. But before we flip it over, we want to now anchor in our legs that we've been talking about all along. So we're going to put that piece in there just like that, and make sure that it is level with the bottom. Make sure that we've got it all the way down on each side, so that way this will support the weight of that wood. So if your piece is longer, you can always just hold it up against, or even screw it in and draw your pencil line across. Then you have your line where you need to cut. So you just draw a pencil line there, and then you can unscrew it and go cut your board. So quick tip on how to do that faster. So let me get these legs installed on all 4 sides, and I'll show you that before we flip it over. So as you can see, we've now got a double leg that will be supporting this. Now again, the reason that we're doing this leg the way we did is because all that weight of all this lumber will now be forced into the 2x4 itself, and the pressure will be this whole 2x4 instead of just on the screws that we have in the boards themselves. So we want that weight to be in the actual 2x4. Let me show you guys it flipped over, and what the next step is. You can really see this starting to take shape now here. Got our raised bed. Notice there are some gaps in here. That's okay. We're actually going to lay the boards in a way that it'll go over top of that. It won't matter. So we'll make sure we lay those boards out properly. So we're going to be putting our boards in the middle to support all the soil now. But look at the depth of this raised bed. I mean, like I said, it's just a 2x4 and a 4x6. But that's going to give us some good room in there to actually plant our plants. So good size, almost 6 feet by 3 feet. As you can see, I can reach my arm across just fine, pick out anything in the back. 4 foot's what's recommended for a lot of these, but honestly, I'm 6 foot tall, and that's a good stretch for me. So the nice part about a raised bed is you can usually walk all the way around it. But I actually am thinking about putting some trellises on the back, and maybe I'll do a video on that later, so that I can have some cucumbers maybe grow up it. So with that, I want to make sure I have the right distance to reach across. So just before you start building your bed, plan it out for what you're going to be using it for. So let me get the boards that we're going to be using. I'm going to be repurposing some pallet to put in there. You could do 2x4s in here, you could do 1x in here, just something to span this gap here. So the first thing you want to do is measure from the inside here to do this corner, do the middle, and also do the other end. Make sure we have the exact same measurements. Then get your boards. I recommend a wider board if you can, but get your board to snugly fit right in there just like that. I've already gone ahead and cut a few pieces after I measured. I did have a wider board. Now you notice how I'm leaving a gap here. I'm thinking I want to leave about an 1/8 inch gap. That is for drainage holes. Now you have 2 choices here. You can butt them right up against each other, which is perfectly fine, to keep the soil from kind of falling through the cracks a little bit. But then you need to drill some holes in here for drainage holes. Now you can screw these boards into place, or you can leave them just like this because they're not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to get the rest of these boards set in here. Like I said, I'm going to leave a gap with mine, which does mean that soil could potentially fall through. So we're going to have to find a medium to make sure that the soil doesn't fall through all the way. I've got a lot more boards to cut, as you can see. I recommend, like I said, the wider the board, the better. A, it's less cuts that you have to make, and B, it's less coverage, less boards that you actually need to use. So I'm just using scrap pallet wood. These are the ones that I had that were long enough to span this gap. So you can see already this is going to hold my weight. Ready? Watch this. You guys are probably laughing at me on camera here. But yep, see, if it can hold my weight, that means it's going to be able to hold the weight of the soil like we want it to. Alright guys, let me keep you guys could see, got the boards going in, laying out. I still got a little bit to fill, but before I wanted to do that, I wanted to show you what I'm going to be using for spacing. So I'm just taking a scrap board I had laying around. In fact, it's one of the shutters for the treehouse, but it's good. Looks like about 1/4 inch, and I'm okay with that gap. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slide this, put this just in there like that. Kind of hard to do with the camera, but I'm going to set you guys down for just a second here. Just butt that up against there like that, and I am going to actually be screwing these in to kind of help support the weight, because if you put the weight in the middle, it'll pull against the side, so the screws will actually hold that tension for you. So you put this there, put this same on the other side, and there you go. You screw it in on each side and keep moving along. So I'm going to start doing that here. I recommend, especially on this particular part, using a all-weather screw, like a deck screw or something like that, if you have them, just because that'll help protect that for future to come. But make sure you understand the thickness of the board that you're going through into the thickness of the board, so you don't have a bunch of screws poking out the bottom. So I'm going to go grab some of my shorter screws and start screwing these pieces in and spacing them along the way, and I'll show you after I start getting some. So we've got all of our boards properly spaced using our spacer as I showed you. We've got them all screwed in. Now it's important to note, a lot of times you'll be using a thinner board for this stuff. You want to use a pre-drill, so pre-drill your holes before screwing. Thinner boards are always prone to cracking, especially pallet wood if you're using something like that. But you'll notice these gaps are pretty wide. I did that on purpose for drainage holes, but we can't just put soil in here, it's going to fall right through. So this is the step where, if you are planning to preserve this for long periods of time, something of that nature, you really want this to last, you would put down a good fabric in here, a waterproof or water resistant fabric that's going to keep the moisture off the sides. I recommend maybe a pond liner or something thick like that, that's going to keep moisture off the sides. You know, that'll keep it off the wood, so this wood will stay fresh for a long time. I happen to have some extra weed barrier laying around, so I'm going to throw down some weed barrier in here. That'll cover it'll allow drainage through here, but it'll cover these slits in here, so that way it'll keep the soil from falling right out the bottom of the bed, and also won't do much for the actual moisture in the wood. But again, this was temporary. But while my wife and I were talking, while I was shooting this video, she mentioned we have some extra exterior paint. So what I'm going to do is actually paint this outside, not the inside. I don't want anything on the plants, but I'm going to paint the outside real quick, and I'm going to put that weed barrier down, staple it down on the inside, and then I'll show you guys that finished product. I'm going to hit it with a sander just to get the wood to take the paint a little bit better, and I'm going to paint all the outside, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So stay tuned. Comment I wanted to mention before I do that part, guys, is a lot of people at this point in time, which is a great idea, especially if you're going to go deeper than what we ended up with was, as I said, about 8 inches. Let's see there, we've got almost 8.5 inches on that depth wise. So if you're going to go much deeper than that, a lot of people like to actually put chicken ware or a type of wire mesh netting down in here, staple it to the sides and make sure it's flat against the bottom, just to give that extra tensile strength, if you will, to hold the soil in here. I don't think it's going to be necessary for what we are using, but just wanted to throw that tip out there, guys, in case you want to reinforce yours a little bit more if you're going deeper soil, anything like that. So well, I'll probably have a 1/2 inch lip, so we'll have about 8 inches of soil. So I think that'll be just fine for what we're doing. So let me go grab that weed barrier, and I'm going to throw it in here, and we'll see how it looks. Epic fail on my part. I thought I had a lot more weed barrier than I actually have. So we're going to go with plan B. Sorry, it's a very windy day, which you guys can probably hear. I hope it's not coming bad. We're going to throw cardboard down. We'll poke some holes in the cardboard, and we'll still get the same desired effect. It'll hold in the soil for us. Might even help with wicking some of the moisture off the wood. For you, I'd really recommend putting a material down that'll keep the moisture off the wood. Obviously, you'll have to poke drainage holes in that material either way, but so make sure that you maybe mark on the outside of the wood here where each of your slots are, so you can poke your drainage holes, which is probably what I will do. for the cardboard so I can poke some drainage holes in those. And I'll show you. Enough. Thanks, guys. Just took me 3 cardboard boxes. I'll have to poke some holes in there. Put a couple of staples in there just to hold it down randomly as the wind blows. Totally unnecessary just for me because the wind's blowing and I was doing the video, so I put a couple of staples in it. And pretty much all there is to it. So now I can poke the drainage holes in. Probably just use a screwdriver to poke some holes. Nothing huge since it's cardboard. And then I'm going to paint the outside and I'll show you. Okay, so you can see we've got a nice coat of exterior white on there. Tip, I see the cardboard underneath the legs. That's so I didn't get any paint or grass in my paintbrush. I went for the paintbrush brush stroke look. I like it a little bit more rustic. If you guys want to fancy this up quite a bit with yours, a great thing to do is get some silicone caulk, type of caulk that is made for windows and doors, because that is like fish safe, things like that, so it would definitely be safe for your plants. You could fill in the screw holes, you could fill in these gaps, really give it a clean finish before you paint, and use a roller instead of a brush. So it depends on how fancy you want to get with yours. I like the rustic look, so that's kind of what I was going for here. But that's it, guys. So now we're going to move it into its finished spot over there once the paint dries a little bit, and we'll fill it up. I've already shown you guys how to do raised bed filling in the past, an inexpensive way depending on how deep yours is. You may want to do soil, or you may want to use the method. I'll link that video at the end here so you guys can see that. I myself will be actually putting a small layer of non-composted items in there, like sod, grass, things like that, and just some overall yard clippings that I have in a cold compost bin that I have in the back, and then I'll be topping it with some nice soil on top, just to give myself a starting base there. So got to poke my drainage holes still, guys, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you guys build your own DIY elevated raised bed off of something like this. And as always, guys, if you like this video, hit the like button, give it a good thumbs up, share this video out with some friends who are looking to do raised beds, and make sure you guys hit subscribe and hit that notification bell for some additional content to come. That rock garden, we'll be doing a video on that, and how we redid that, and also some other nice videos to come. So as always, guys, I hope you guys are staying safe, really enjoying your gardens this year and this beautiful sunny day here for us in Michigan. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.